Well, everyone, not only is it the season finale of Sports Talk Philadelphia, it's also Shane and I's last episode ever on this desk. We will have time to say our goodbyes, but of course we have plenty of Philadelphia sports to get into, so let's not take any more of your time and get right into it here on this episode of Sports Talk Philadelphia. Welcome back, everyone. As always, I'm your host for at least one last episode, Aidan Tyksinski, and I'm joined by a full panel this week, starting my meat lift, Shane Nolan. As always, Shane, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, despite it being the last episode.
Yeah, it's good to ride with you one more time. And coming out of the control room and joining us on desk, Tyler Farmer. Tyler, how are you?
I'm good. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you on. And as always, at the end, Brayden Knapp. Brayden, how are you doing?
What's up? I'm doing great.
Good, yeah, and we're going to get right into a team that's doing great in the Philadelphia Phillies, who are on an amazing, before we get to the Phillies, the Eagles draft actually happened. That's right, we're still having a great time. Yeah, great start for this last episode. So anyway, the Eagles had their draft, and it went really, really well for them, another team that did great. So in the first round, they got Quinyon Mitchell, who was projected to go 13th overall, so getting him at 22nd was great. They then got Cooper DeJean, who was supposed to go earlier in the first round. They got him in the second. A couple other really good picks, including Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who we talked about on the show. His dad played on the Eagles for a long time. But, Brayden, we're going to start with Quinyon Mitchell. This dude is a stud, and the fact that they got him so late in the first round is pretty amazing.
Oh, it's fantastic. And the best part is we didn't even trade up for him. I mean, there was a lot of things like the day of, and especially a couple days before, we were rumored to trade up to get a guy like Mitchell or maybe even Arnold. But they just ended up falling. I mean, at our pick, we had the choice of Mitchell or Arnold. It was fantastic. So, great choice.
Yeah, and Tyler, when it comes to this pick, there's a lot of people that are concerned that Mitchell played at Toledo. There's a lot of teams that were looking to recruit him in the portal. Obviously, he stayed at Toledo, but playing a lesser competition in the MAC, does that concern you when it comes to playing in the NFL?
No, it doesn't really concern me. I think if you can play, you can play. There's been many players that come from smaller schools that come to the NFL, and they do just fine. You look at some of the best quarterbacks in the NFL today, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen. These guys came from small schools, and they did just fine. I'm not really worried about that. The tape doesn't lie on Quinyon Mitchell. This guy was the best cornerback prospect in the draft, and I think that the Eagles got a steal at 22, and I think he's going to do great things for y'all.
Yeah, when it comes to Cooper DeJean, Brayden, when you look at this guy, this is another guy that can play all over the field. He can play cornerback, he can play safety, he can play slot corner. When you have a guy with that type of versatility, especially with the aging defensive backs that the Eagles have, this could also be a very, very good pick for them.
Oh, this is a crazy good pick. I mean, another guy who fell to us. It was fantastic. We traded up to go get him. I mean, it's great. This guy, as you said, I mean, he play anywhere on the secondary. Will he play? I mean, who knows how much of corner he actually plays, probably more of safety, but he's versatile. And with injuries, he can play anywhere on the secondary. I mean, I think it's a fantastic pick.
Yeah, this third-round pick was a little bit interesting. We haven't gotten to it yet, but this was Jalix Hunt. He's a linebacker from Houston Baptist. First time ever that a player from Houston Baptist has been drafted. It is a smaller school that's known for their football program, but it's still not one that you typically see someone get drafted at all, much less this high. Tyler, when you look at everything on him, there's not a whole lot of tape, but do you think that this was a good pick by the Eagles?
I think this was a good pick by the Eagles. I think you lost Hassan Reddick this offseason, so you needed some depth at linebacker. He's a guy I think maybe is not exactly ready to play right away and start and get like a massive amount of snaps right away, but I do believe that, he provides depth. There's a lot of good guys in front of him that can help bring him along. And I think in the end, this is going to be one of those picks. You don't hear much about him now, but you're going to be hearing a lot about him in the future for good reasons.
Yeah, and the other linebacker that the Eagles are very high on was Trotter Jr. The fact that the Eagles were able to get him in the fifth round was great. One, they didn't have to trade up, which we were saying on the show would have been a mistake. And two, this is a guy that is a project linebacker, as Tyler said. They have a bunch of veterans. So Brayden, he has time to develop that talent. And even at Clemson, you could see that this dude can play.
Oh, yeah. This dude, I mean, he's a tremendous athlete. he's just a little raw, but I mean, there's nothing that we can't fix. I mean, especially with the addition of Devin White, I think he's going to be a great mentor for him. So yeah, I mean, just give it some time. Right away, this guy is not going to be anything special, but just give it time, let him develop.
Yeah, when you see in the back end, the Eagles got a ton of draft picks late with a couple of trades that Howie Roseman made. Tyler, was there any other guys that the Eagles picked later in the draft that really stuck out to you as guys that could step up in the near future?
Yeah, one of my favorite picks was actually Will Shipley, the running back from Clemson. Obviously, we know that we acquired Saquon Barkley this offseason, and while he was a great addition, we do know his injury history. We do know that asking him to play 17 full games, especially on the workload that he's going to get, is not really a reasonable expectation. So bringing in Will Shipley is going to help cut into those carries for him and keep him a little bit fresher come playoff time. And also Jalen Hurts as well. We saw with the knee injury last year, he was not the same guy that he was in 2022 when he was second in MVP voting. So Will Shipley's going to take away carries from both of them and keep your best players fresh for the playoffs. He can also catch out of the backfield. He can return kicks and punts. He's an all-purpose guy, and he's going to be ready to start day one.
Yeah, the other thing the Eagles did, too, besides getting all these draft picks late in the draft, was also get picks for next year. And a big concern when it comes to Saquon Barkley, as Tyler brought up, not only the injury history, but also the tampering that the Eagles are getting investigated by the NFL for. So, Brayden, if the Eagles did trade for more picks next year in case they lose one for tampering, that's a heads-up move that you don't see a lot of general managers making.
No, you really don't. I mean, our GM, Howie Roseman, is just one of the best, and he even proved that again from the draft. I'm not really concerned about the whole tampering thing. It's whatever. I'm not too concerned. It's whatever.
Yeah, so, Tyler, if you had to give the Eagles a grade for how the draft went, what would you say?
This was one of the best drafts out of all the teams, in my opinion. I'm going to give this one an A for me, a solid A.
What about you, Brayden?
If it's not an A, then I think you're stupid. So, there you go.
Yeah, the other one that was really interesting to me, this is a team that I think has paralleled with the Eagles really well in the last couple of drafts, has been the Detroit Lions, who got Terrion Arnold, who a lot of Eagles fans were saying. And Brayden, in my opinion, the Lions last year were one of the teams, the reason they were so successful is because of the draft. I feel like this is a team that we might run into in the playoffs eventually.
Oh, it definitely is. I mean, the Lions they're a scary team. They've been each year they've been growing and getting better, and especially this year, even more better players they've gotten. I mean, good news is we took C.J. Gardner-Johnson back from them. Let's go. But I mean, they just traded up for Terrion Arnold, so we'll see. But yeah, I mean, going forward through this season, it's going to be tough.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good teams this year in the NFC, and the fact the Eagles are able to get another great draft class just shows that they are going to be competitive next season. We're now going to go to the Phillies, who I jumped the gun on a little bit, mostly because they've been playing so well, and I really wanted to talk about them, especially sweeping the San Diego Padres. And yes, Shane, I'm very glad you brought this back. That is the video from the NLCS 2 years ago, where these fans who have disappeared have sort of, made a not great video trying to celebrate the Padres. But anyway, Phillies played really good. Shane, what were your thoughts on this series?
Well, one, they obviously hit really well in that series. I mean, they scored 5+ runs in all 3 games. The first game, you had almost all the runs were from home runs. Bryce Harper hit a home run. Nick Castellanos hit a home run. I think Schwarber hit a home run. Yeah, he did. But yeah, that was just great to see. And then the second game, you're going to get up against a really good pitcher who at the time had like a 1.3 something ERA, and Dylan Cease, and you go and score 5 runs against him, which is really great to see. That the fact that they can hit good starting pitching, because that's what this lineup should do and can do. And then obviously in the third game, I mean, it got a little dicey there up in the 6th inning when Walker gave up the home run to make it 7-6, a 1-run game. But they were able to score another run after that and eventually win that game.
Yes, the offense I have no concerns with at all. The bullpen has still been kind of shaky, and Taijuan Walker did not look great after the 5th inning. Shane, do you think this was just a fatigue thing and they should have sat him sooner, or is this sort of signs of what could be happening with Taijuan as he continues to pitch?
I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, yeah, he hasn't pitched in a while. He had a couple of rehabs or a couple starts down in AAA, and he gave up a lot of runs in a couple of those starts too. So, but I mean, he hasn't pitched more than 6 innings or so in a while. So I think a little bit of fatigue, but also like this is just Taijuan Walker. I mean, we've seen this from him last year. One of the things is last year he gave up a lot of those runs in the 1st inning. I mean, he didn't do that in his first start this year. But yeah, I just think it's a little bit of both.
When it comes to the offense, guys that were struggling to start the year, and Nick Castellanos and Yohan Rojas, both of them homered in a win over the Angels, which is great. Castellanos hit a home run in the Padres series as well. I still think he's playing under his contract, but Shane, it is good to see these guys at the bottom of the order finally start to get going a little bit.
Yeah, it is. And the thing is with Nick Castellanos, I mean, lately he has been hitting the ball hard. I mean, in the first game against the Angels, he hit the ball right at the warning track, and I thought it was going to be able to go out because they have like a high wall, but then they have the yellow line like halfway down the wall, and I thought it was just going to be able to hit the wall, and technically in their park it would have been a home run in Angels Park. But it just kind of died right at the track. But yeah, and it's good to see Yohan Rojas. I mean, he batted 300 last year, so it's not like he can't hit the ball. I mean, I know he was a rookie, so maybe not a lot of pitchers had a lot of video on him of what to do to him. But I mean, once again, he's another hitter who's been hitting the ball hard. He's been patient at the plate too, and he's not swinging a lot of the pitches that are off of the plate.
Yeah, and when it comes to the rotation, now you've brought back Taijuan Walker. You still have Turnbull. Christopher Sanchez hasn't pitched well. One of these guys is probably going to have to go to the bullpen, and I really worry if it's Turnbull that they send in, and I feel like Sanchez, in my opinion, should be the one they send in.
I completely agree with that. I think it should be Christopher Sanchez. I mean, the past 2 starts. I mean, the one in Cincinnati, I mean, defense didn't really help him out that much either, but I mean, that wasn't really a great start for him, and then the one against Angels wasn't really a great start. And I mean, they want to keep Walker in the rotation, especially because of all the money they're giving him. And I mean, Turnbull has been great this year, so I completely think that they should move Christopher Sanchez into the bullpen and keep Turnbull in the starting rotation. Who cares if he hasn't pitched more than 6 innings or however many innings he hasn't pitched 100 or something innings, whatever. Who cares? He's been pitching really well. You need him in your rotation, so I think he should stay in the rotation.
Yeah, when you look at the NL standings, with the rotation flaws that the Phillies have had, the bullpen not playing well, they still have 20 wins. They're the only team in baseball to have that. They're a half a game behind the Braves in first, well in front of the Mets and Nationals, and of course the Marlins, who just have not been playing well at all. Shane, when you see the way the Phillies are playing to start April, they always get off to slow starts. The fact that they have 20 wins right now, that's a great sign for them.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like you said, the first team in baseball to 20 wins. And then also their 19 wins in April is the most in franchise history for the wins in April. There was a lot of like franchise things that they accomplished in April. I forget a few of them, but that was one of them in wins. But yeah, they obviously in the past couple of years have gotten off to a slow start, and it's kind of been why they haven't been able to be in contention in the division with the Braves, because they haven't really got started until June. But it's good to see that they got off to a good start in April this year, a good start to the season, and hopefully they can keep that going.
Yeah, I mean, part of the reason they got off to a great start is they got to play some of the worst teams in baseball, which of course always helps, but it's still good. There's a lot of people saying that because of that, the Phillies' record's a little bit inflated. It's still good to see them winning these games when they did not beat bad teams early in the season the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, they didn't. I mean, that was one of the problems as well, is not being able to beat bad teams and not hitting against bad pitchers on those bad teams as well, in which they did that this year against the Rockies and White Sox, winning 7 straight and then sweeping both of those series. And then also, I forget what I was just going to say, but yeah, and that's what they needed to do. And who cares about their schedule? I mean, the Braves lost to the White Sox. Right. They swept the Marlins, who are really bad. So like, what are you going to say about them? You play who's on your schedule, and that's that.
Yeah, and one of the reasons the Phillies have played well, at least offensively in recent games, is because of Alec Boehm, who's just been one of the hottest hitters in baseball, if not the hottest. Right now he's batting .366 with 4 home runs, 30 RBIs, 14-game hitting streak, and second in all of these major offensive categories, including batting average, RBIs, doubles, and on-base percentage. Shane, when you look at the way that he's playing, he's a very early MVP candidate.
No, he is, and he's also been the Phillies' MVP so far of the team. I mean, he's a third baseman. People are like, but his power's not there, blah, blah, blah. He's a pure hitter. He hits to all fields. He hits to center. He hits to left. He hits to right center, left center, whatever. Wherever the ball can land in the field, he's going to hit it. I mean, he had a 7-game extra base hit streak. On here, you said he had a 14. He had a 14 game hit streak. But yeah, he's been really good, and his defense has been a lot better as well.
Yeah, the defense, in my opinion, has been probably his biggest improvement. We always knew that he was going to be a good hitter, even though he struggled in 21 and the early parts of 22. His glove disappeared a little bit, but I mean, now he's looking really, really good. And some people sort of thinking they might be the next Mike Schmidt. I would hold on to that a little bit just because he doesn't have the power that we thought that he was going to have early in his career, but he's still someone that is a solid third baseman, which is something that the Phillies have not had in a very, very long time. We're now going to go to the 76ers, who have been playing all right, not great to start off the playoffs. They won Game 3 against the Knicks in a great fashion, then lost Game 4 in a sloppy offensive game. Game 5, it looked like they were going to get eliminated until an amazing shot by Tyrese Maxey with virtually no time left, sent the game to overtime, which they won. So, Brayden, this series has gone back and forth, playing with our emotions a lot. What is your takeaway after 5 games?
Well, so far every 76ers fan should be happy that we have Maxey. Because the only reason why the 76ers are still in the playoffs is because of Maxey. I mean, it's just, I don't know even what to think with the Sixers team, because it's just, they should be better than what they are, but they're not playing the way that they should. I don't know. I mean, in these games, besides Game 3, they've been squeaking by. I mean, we barely got through against the Heat in the play-in. I don't know. Even if we somehow manage to save this series and beat the Knicks, I don't know.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is just how good Tyrese Maxey is. And everyone knew that he was going to be great. He won Comeback Player of the Year. But to see what he's doing in the playoffs, it brings so much joy to so many Sixers fans.
Oh my goodness! I mean, everyone should be looking forward to the rest of his career. I mean, this guy can now be probably an all-star for his career. He's playing so good. I mean, he's dropping 46 points in the playoffs. He's literally putting the team on his back to continue in the playoffs. I know. I can't wait for the future with Maxey.
Yeah, I mean, you get to cover it for the next 3 years, which is going to be so exciting for you guys. One guy that you probably will not have to cover after this season and has not been playing well in the playoffs is Tobias Harris, who has always been a problem for the Sixers, but it's gotten really bad at this point. So he had 19 points, 18 rebounds, 1 assist in Game 3. Those 19 points, the highest he scored in any playoff game so far. He's averaging 10.5 points per game in the 6 playoff games, and he's in the last year of a 5-year, $180 million contract. Brayden, do the Sixers bring him back, or is it finally time to say goodbye to Tobias Harris?
If the Sixers bring back Tobias Harris, I can no longer watch basketball. Because this guy he always underperforms. Maybe he'll step up. And each year, he never does. I mean, the only reason this season, at the end of the season, he averaged the 17 points or whatever he got, was because Embiid was out for a lot of the season. This guy, there's a lot of things I want to say. I want to keep positive. I'm sure Tobias Harris is a great guy. We can no longer have him on the Sixers team. If we want to be a championship team and a winning team, this guy cannot be our third option at all.
Yeah, and that's sort of the thing. Could you bring him back in the ideal world that he takes a massive pay cut, so not giving him a contract like that ever again? Most teams probably won't. Could you bring him back in sort of a backup role for a lot less money, or is it just time to say, we need to walk away from you because this did not work out?
I wouldn't be completely against if he came back really cheap and as a backup role, but he's not going to want to do that. I know he's definitely not expecting a 5-year, $180 million again because he's played like trash. But, I don't know. I think it's just probably time to move on. I think it's what's best for both parties, I think.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he goes. The free agent market is very top-heavy. Tobias Harris will still be considered a top free agent regardless of how he's played in his time at Philadelphia. So we will be paying attention to where he goes and how big that contract is. When you look at the rest of the conference matchups, at least in the Eastern Conference, it's pretty even, honestly, outside of the Celtics series, which Heat don't have Jimmy Butler at this point, so it makes sense that they're up a lot. The Knicks series is close. The Cavs and Magic, it looked like it was going to be a runaway for the Cavs. It's not really the case anymore. And the Pacers up 3-2 on a very depleted Bucks roster. Brayden, when you look at all these series, it's pretty crazy how even it is.
It really is. The series that really surprised me is that Cavs and Magic. I thought the Cavs were going to sweep, but apparently not. The Magic came back and tied it up. Now the Cavs are ahead. But again, with the Pacers are scary. And if we somehow beat the Knicks, I don't know how we're going to deal with a Tyrese Halliburton on this team, but I don't know. it's interesting how the conference is going.
Yeah, it's pretty scary because the Sixers have already allowed a 40-point game to Jalen Brunson, and a lot of the guards for the Knicks, as we talked about, have been playing very, very well. Tyrese Halliburton is a completely different animal. I mean, he's a little bit of a less good shooter than Jalen Brunson, but he can still have elite games. He's a very good facilitator of the basketball. Yeah, Brayden, I agree. It's going to be really hard to stop whichever team we play against, regardless if it's the Bucks or Pacers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to play the Bucks or the Pacers, but I mean, it's looking like it's probably going to be the Pacers. But I mean, that's even if we even make it out of this game. We can't even say that right now because we're down right now in the series. So I mean, right now it should only be beating the Knicks.
Yeah, I don't know about you. I also feel like that this is making it more and more clear that the Celtics are going to be able to easily run away with the East, in my opinion.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think the only hope is that in the Western Conference is you either have the Thunder or Nuggets that can beat them. Because I mean, right now, this is perfect for the Celtics. The Celtics probably are so happy right now with how this series is going, or how all the Eastern Conference series are going, because it's not looked very good.
Yeah, and when you see the Sixers, right now they only have 2 games remaining on their schedule. They've got to win Game 6, and there will be Game 7 in New York if necessary. Brayden, it's basically win or go home from here on out. Do you think the Sixers can move on to the second round?
I don't know. I mean, we definitely can. We definitely can. It's just besides Embiid and Maxey, someone has to step up. I mean, chances are someone might have a good game and step up. Honestly, I don't think we will. I know that's really bad for me to say and whatever, but we just have never shown that. I mean, the Sixers, I don't see this fire or passion in the playoffs. We're squeaking by games and just, I don't know. I think the Knicks have more heart right now, and I don't think we're going to get through, unfortunately. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm torn. They showed so much passion in Game 3. I think they could pull it up, but again, that was also in Philly. To go to New York and have to do this in front of that crowd, as fired up as they are, as with all the videos that we've seen of how they've taken over Wells Fargo, I think it's going to be very, very tough.
Yeah, I mean, anytime going to New York is always tough, and especially now because everyone in New York is all hyped up. And I like you said, I mean, going to New York is almost virtually impossible, it seems like right now.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very tough. So that will wrap up the Sixers for us. And, I mean, this is usually our Fast Five segment. But as we said in the intro, this is Shane and I's last episode. So, Shane, I'm going to give you the floor for a little bit to say goodbye. I know that you were...
Let me start first.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's obviously been a great 4 years being on the show. I mean, I've been back and forth on the desk and in the back in the control room and stuff like that working. I mean, you started on the LTV news desk. I don't know if that was supposed to be said, but you know, oh well, it's been almost 3 years since then. But yeah, I mean, it's been great. I'm gonna miss being on the show, being able to talk about my favorite teams. I would like to thank Chuck Fletcher for letting me get mad at the Flyers and having some of my best moments on the show. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna miss getting angry at teams and stuff like that. But yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, those Chuck Fletcher scenes were iconic for this show. I just have a list of people that I really want to thank for my time here on LaSalle TV and specifically SportsTalk Philadelphia. John Kohlmeyer and Caleb Flieger, I want to thank, first of all, they were the 2 hosts and producers when I started on the show. They really taught me how to produce the show, create a rundown, be a host. So I really wouldn't be where I'm at right now if it wasn't for them. So thank you. All the panelists that we've had for the show. I mean, we've had so many that I couldn't really name them all, and even if I could, we'd run out of time. So anyone that ever showed up to the show to be a panelist, whether it was for a fill-in episode, a full-time, it was just one of the best parts about this show was hearing everyone else's conversations, their takes. And again, we would not have a show without the panelists, so thank you. The crew for the show was always a little bit sketchy at certain points, but we had always had certain people that would fill in. And whether or not we had 4 people or 2 people and the prompter for giving time, I just want to thank anyone that ever showed up to help. We really couldn't do the show without you. Behind the desk or behind the control room, Shane was back there for a while, as he said. So it was, you were there for the beginning parts of it. So yeah, we really couldn't have done it without you, and we're glad you moved out here. But anyone that filled in, thank you for that. A big thank you to our station manager, Tanya Ellis. Tanya let me get on the desk. As a freshman, which doesn't usually happen, she let me do a few episodes for LTV News during the pandemic, which I thought were lost in history. I was told by a couple of people, including Lucas, that they're still around there somewhere, so you can try finding them. I wouldn't recommend it, but anyway, Tanya was such a big influence for my time at LaSalle. Just overall, I got to learn so much from video editing to really learning how to produce a show, and I couldn't be where I'm at now if it wasn't for Tanya. So thank you so much for that. Shane, I really want to thank you so much. You've been an excellent co-producer, excellent vice president for young broadcasters. You've really been with me almost every single step of the way. I mean, we were the only 2 freshmen that really showed up during the pandemic to do anything. So
That is true.
Yeah, yeah. So I feel like I've gotten to know you very, very well. And it's been an honor to have worked with you the last 3.5 years.
And same to you too. And I do want to say one more thing, that the show is in great hands next year because they're going to have a real host. Sorry, had to get one more jab at you.
Wow. All right.
Appreciate you.
No, I did want to say, well, yeah, since we already talked about it, congrats to Brayden and Tyler, who are going to be on the show next year. As Shane said, we will have a real host in Brayden. I think Brayden will do a great job with the show. Hey, you don't even know you're not up right now, okay? But yeah, I mean, you guys, the fact that you're already taking the initiative, coming here, helping out, being on the panel, I think that the show is in very, very good hands. I think LaSalle TV is in good hands because of underclassmen like you guys. So I'm excited to see what you guys do next year. The last couple shout outs I want to thank my parents for being so supportive of me. Being a journalism major, it doesn't always bring a lot of support from people. So my parents have always allowed me to do what I love, and I wouldn't be here without them. And finally, I want to thank 2 of my grandparents, who I lovingly called Poppy and Grind. These were 2 of my biggest sports influences. Unfortunately, neither of them were alive to see any of the shows that I did. But every time that I talk about the Phillies, the Eagles, I can feel their presence. They are just people that I've always looked up to. And whenever the Phillies and Cubs are doing well specifically, I always think about them. So that is about all the thank yous I have. Like I said, guys, I'm so excited to see what you work on next year. Shane and I could not be more proud of the work that you guys have done, and we're just really excited to see it. So that will wrap up my final episode of Sports Talk Philadelphia. Thank you so much for watching this season and the last 3.5 years. As always, check us out on social media at Sports Talk LTV on Instagram and Twitter. Thank you guys for an amazing last season. Unfortunately, we didn't have a team win a championship in this run, so I'm hoping for better luck with our future producers. Thank you for watching, and make sure to tune in next season.